Well, thank you very much, Steve. I very much enjoyed being program chair for this month. Wasn't long before after I joined the old guard that I was asked to do this. So let's go ahead. Our speaker today is Sister Magdalena Chubwa, who is a nun in the Order of the Daughters of Mary in Tanzania. She will tell us about the East African Community, which is an intergovernmental organization composed of 6 countries in the African Great Lakes region, which are Burundi, Kenya, Rwanda, South Sudan, Tanzania, and Uganda. The EAC is largely a trade partnership, but it may evolve in the future into a political union. Sister Magdalena was born and raised in the Kigoma region in western Tanzania by Lake Tanganyika. At 14 years of age, she was accepted into a religious community where she eagerly anticipated acquiring formal education, a rare thing, especially for most girls from her remote village. She has been a member of the Congregation of the Daughters of Mary for 25 years. Sister Magdalena was sent to the U.S. for study in 2008, earning a BS in biology and an MS in healthcare management and administration from the University of St. Elizabeth in Condensation, New Jersey. She is now pursuing her PhD in health sciences at Seton Hall University. She hopes to share this knowledge and experience when she returns to Tanzania, a country that badly needs specialists to work on both preventive and curative healthcare. Sister Magdalena is currently volunteering as a sacristan at St. Teresa of Avila Parish in Summit. She also considers herself part of the family of the Sisters of Charity of St. Elizabeth at Convent Station. Sisters who have supported her both materially and spiritually, and for whose love and inspiration she will always be grateful. So, Sister Magdalena, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate for everything. And I'm sharing the full screen. I hope you all see my slides.
Yep, we do. It's perfect.
Okay. So good morning, everybody. My name is Sister Magdalena, as Mike has introduced me. I'm a Daughters of Mary from Tanzania, and I came here in 2008. I started at College of St. Elizabeth, now is the University of St. Elizabeth, and then I'm currently in Seton Hall University doing my doctorate in healthcare sciences. So I grew up in the rural villages of Africa. I joined my community when I was only 14 years of age. I never saw the sisters before, but I had the assistance from our catechists in the villages, and my pastor later allowed me to join the convent. Money was always a problem in my family, but my mother's efforts, including making the banana beer and sell it in the marketplace, helped me to enter the convent. So my journey to America started in 2008. My order chose me and a couple of other sisters to apply for the scholarship. And after that, I had to take the interview and English language exam. And then I had to fulfill the visa process, which was very difficult at that time. And finally, I was on my way to America and my college education. After 4 years, I went to graduate school, and after that, enrolled in my PhD program. At the end, I will talk about my future goals, but at this time, I have already started my foundation called Justice and Development for All, supporting women and education in my village. And to tell you, I have learned how to do this from the support of the American people. Our organization is also helping to support the elderly population who are neglected. And also another example is to adapt students from kindergarten and primary education or secondary education by providing them with their basic needs to continue to go to school. So, so now these are the pictures of some of the things I help back home with disabled girls and helping kids who are coming from poor family, getting their basic school supplies, helping to build the schools in my village. And these are local people of my village who are coming together and then helping the group of women with their small businesses. So I will talk about Africa. Africa, according to the United Nations, is comprised of the 54 countries. Among them is the East African Cooperation or East African Community. Those 60 countries of East African Community include Uganda, Rwanda, Kenya, South Sudan, Tanzania, and Burundi. So the East African communities was under the British, Belgium, Italian, French, and German. These were involved in the colonization of East Africa during the 19th and early 20th centuries. If we remember, all of these had already had the networks of traders and their missionaries from their countries throughout the Africa. Now they were attempting to set up the formal colonial government to administrate the region. So before the World War II, German had Tanganyika. Tanganyika is now Tanzania, Burundi, and Rwanda. And then Belgium had Congo, and Great Britain had Kenya and Uganda. South Sudan was under the Arabs to begin with, and then the British took the country. After the Second World War I, German lost and British occupied Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, and Sudan. And Belgium left was Burundi, Rwanda, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. So the East African Community was established in 1967. And in 1977, it collapsed, and Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda formed again the East African Community in 2000. And later in 2007, Burundi and Rwanda joined. And after about 10 years later, in 2016, South Sudan joined the community. What we are expecting next is the Democratic Republic of Congo, the DRC, to join the community because they are in process. So the East African communities had agreed upon 4 areas of integration: the customs union, the common market, the monetary union, and the political federation. So, so the Uhuru Kenyatta, who is now the president of Kenya, is the chairperson of East African Community. The tenure of office of the chairperson is 1 year, and it's held on rotation basis among the partner states. And the permanent headquarters is in East African Communities is in Arusha. This is their headquarters in Arusha, Tanzania. The official language is English, and the population is 177 million people. Now we go to Republic of Kenya. So the Republic of Kenya is one of the East African Communities country. Here is the religious affiliation, ethnic composition, and the majority of population in Kenya are younger people under the age of 18. Most people live in the rural areas, and as we can see here, the top picture, this is the Kenya, the Nairobi, with the capital of the Kenya, and some of the small cities in Kenya. And this is how the markets in Kenya looks like. And down there is the slums of where poor people in Kenya live. So major exports of Kenya is tea, coffee, cut flowers, and vegetables. They also import refined petroleum, cars, wheat, and other things. And here we can see this is Kenya. They grow coffee, as I said, tea, and you can see most women work in the coffee and tea plantations. And the political system of Kenya is a multi-party system. And the culture of Kenyans, they speak multilingual as well, apart their Swahili and English. Kenyans are group-oriented rather than individualist. They value about family, mutual respect, and social responsibility. So when you go to Kenya, the important things to do will be to value about the family. When you greet someone, you have to ask about their families and about their well-being. Respect of the elderly people. Kenyans are also, like many other Africans, they are not very efficient with time. So when you visit Kenya, when you call for a meeting at 10 o'clock, expect people to be there at 10:30. So this is how the Kenyans families look like. Women are always in the front to take care of their kids. And these are the schools in Kenya. Children are always very populated in class. They don't have modern classes as we see here in America. And I know most of the Americans already know about the Maasai Tribe. This is the tribe which can be found in Kenya and Tanzania as well. And these are the young Maasai who are being trained to become the warrior. And usually this is the big tradition in the Maasai culture. And this is how the Maasai people live. Their houses are called bomas. And they live on meat and blood. They don't eat wild animals. They only eat cows and the blood. And another tribe which is popular and is found in Kenya is the Kalenjin tribe, which produce the best runners in the world. So this is the Kalenjin culture. And so after Kenya, I will take you to Burundi. So this is Burundi. It was under the Belgium and they got their independence in 1962. So this is Burundi. It's a very small country, but very beautiful with the mountains and hills. And they have fertile soil. And you can see women are the breadwinners of the family. And so, as I said, Burundi was under the Belgium. Before then, Burundi and Rwanda was one country until in 1962. So this is the Burundi. This is the towns in Burundi, how they look like. And these are the women who are taking their goods to the market to sell for their families. And Burundi, most people live in the rural as well. Religious affiliation are more Christians, and the ethnic composition is mostly Hutu and Tutsi. And Burundi export tea, cottons, and skins. They also have imports petroleum, cars, as we can see there, and they grow coffee. And this is how they process coffee. Very local, but both men and women, they will come together to help each other for this processing. And this is Burundi. There are tea plantations, and this is how the landscape of Burundi look like. This is the Lake Victoria, which Burundi shares with, this is Lake Tanganyika actually, which Burundi shares with Tanzania. So this is the Burundi, and this is the villages of Burundi. If you see these small houses, that means that's a single family live there. You can find father, mother, and children together. Sometimes grandpa and grandma live in that compound. And So the political system of Burundi, they are also democratic and multi-party system. And this is their logo. And we know Burundi have had the bad history of civil war. And these are the Burundi refugees. This is how they live. You can find the refugees of Burundi in Congo or mostly in Tanzania. These are the Burundi children in the refugees camp. They try to put together the school so they can also have the formal education. But this is how their school look like in the refugees camps. So the culture of Burundi is called the heart of Africa because of its position in the continent. The ethnic, as I said, they are mostly Hutu and Tutsi. And before during the colonial rule, the colonial masters justified Tutsi to be more superior than Hutus. And that's where we have the enmity and the history of bad civil war between the Hutu and Tutsi. So this is the country of Burundi. The women will do their small businesses in the markets. And this here is the woman with her children who is carrying parts to take to the market. And they grow banana. And as I told you before, like my mom used to make the banana beer so she can afford to send me to the convent. This is how they make the banana beer. They are in that picture. And so this is Burundi. They have a lot of fruits, pineapples, avocados, bananas, as a very, very nice country. So this is the culture of the Burundi. They love dances and music. And this is how they dance, the Burundian people. And all these are the Burundi dances. And from Burundi, I will take you to Rwanda. So Rwanda was under the Belgian, and they have their independence in 1962. Very small country, but also very beautiful. To begin with, Rwanda and Burundi was one country. If you go now to Africa, East Africa, you will find most of the Tutsi in Rwanda and most of the Hutus in Burundi because of the ethnistic historical problem. But they are all very beautiful country and very small. As I told you before, the ethnic problem was not that historically these people were enemy. This came after the colonization. So this is the Kigali, the capital city of Rwanda, and this is how the city in Rwanda look like. And ethnic composition, mostly Banyarwanda now, which are Rwandans. As I said, before the genocide, Hutu were many in Rwanda, and now the Banyarwanda are many in Rwanda, which are Rwandan. So these are the Rwandan village. This is how the women in the village look, and they mostly work in farms, and this is their houses. This is how these are the people who are coming from harvesting their tea, and the villages in Rwanda, some of the villages and their farms look like this. And this is how the children in Rwanda enjoy themselves, come together to play. And the soccer is very popular in East Africa. And sometimes the kids, they make their own balls to be able to play the soccer. Religious affiliation in Rwanda mostly are Christian, and many people live in the villages. And young people are many in Rwanda. They grow coffee, tea, And also they have their own products which they import from outside, mostly from Asian countries and the Middle East countries. So the political system, as other African countries, they are like a democratic republic. And so we come from like a Rwanda genocide, which I told you before, it was because of the conflicts of two tribes between the Hutus and Tutsi, which later the genocide started. So the impact of genocide, as we all know, about 1 million people were killed. That is to say, 10,000 people were murdered every day, 400 people every hour, and 7 people every minute. About 2.5 million women were raped. Many of them are now the HIV positive, and a lot of orphans in Rwanda. So these are the pictures of genocide. These are refugees who were running from Rwanda to come to neighboring countries like Tanzania. And these are the refugees camps after the genocide. And the people who suffered the most were women and children. So the culture of Rwanda, Rwanda has beautiful music and dance. The birth of a child is celebrated very special. Agriculture work is divided between men and women. Men eat first, and women and children come last. Visitors are also always given the best chairs and the best portion of food and drink. So this is the modern Rwanda, and where they try to bring education to their children. And the children are playing football. We call football there, here you call it soccer. And the people always come together to, for farming, or if they have any project of like building the schools or building someone's house, they usually come to help each other. So these are the social services, like healthcare services in Rwanda. And this is how we take our kids to the clinic. And so this is Rwandan dance and traditional and culture, during the weddings, especially, this is how they celebrate. And so Rwanda also have the tourist destinations. You can go and see the Gorilla Mountains. They have nice landscaping for tourists to visit. And so from Rwanda, I will take you to Uganda. Uganda was under the British. They consider themselves that the best English-speaking country in Africa. And the Rwanda is called the Pearl of Africa. And I Googled, the reason for that was the Winston Churchill visited Uganda in 1908, and he found the country to be very beautiful, magnificent, with water, hills, and so he named the name, and the name became very popular. Okay, so Uganda, most people live in the villages, and religious composition and ethnic composition, as you can see there. And most people in Uganda are younger, under the 15. And they also grow coffee. They have fishing and fishing products. They produce gold, tobacco, cotton, and tea. They import oil, pharmaceutical products, cars, and etc. So this is small businesses, people in Uganda. They have a fishing industry, mostly from the Lake Victoria. So Uganda political system is the multi-party system, and this is the landscaping of Uganda. As the origin of River Nile is from the Lake Victoria, and you can find the the River Nile, the beginning of River Nile when you go to visit Uganda. So this is Uganda in a village. This is how our rough roads look like. And this is how we transport our products from, our farms to the market. Here in America, the bicycle is just for luxury, but the bicycle in Africa is for transportation purpose. So, so Ugandans are considered to be very friendly and welcoming in all of Africa. Values and beliefs are held as sacred in Uganda. It takes a village to raise a child in Uganda. If you have a child in Uganda, you cannot call my child. It's the child belongs to the whole village. And they respect the elderly, and emotional outbursts such as anger are considered bad manners in Uganda, and people may avoid you. So this is Uganda. And so these are the women who are coming from the markets and small business women. And this is how the houses in Uganda, like in rural areas, looks like. And again, usually it's a very communal culture. The women come together for their meetings. If they have weddings during the funerals, they come together and help each other. And so down here, this is the shoe shine. If you want to clean your shoes, in Uganda, you go in a place like that. And this gentleman here is educating people about the COVID-19 in the marketplace. So this is the dancing and the culture dancing style of Uganda. And this is the River Nile, Nile River, which I told you is originated from Lake Victoria in Uganda. And down here, this is the Lake Victoria. So this is the Victoria Falls, and you can also be found in Uganda. So from Uganda, I'll take you to the South Sudan. So South Sudan, they call the City of Giants. There is a new country. They got their own independence in 2011. Originally, South Sudan was one country with the Sudanese, but because of the ethnic conflicts, they decided to have their own country. So this is Juba, the capital city of Sudan. And this is how the city in Sudan, like city people in Sudan look like. So the Sudanese are the tallest people of all the people in Africa. Their religious affiliation, they are mostly Christian, and they have 3 big tribes. And so in South Sudan, cattle outnumber the population of the people. They value cattle, animals. And the wealth for them is counted if you have cattle, not cash. So this is the South Sudan. And why they call themselves the city of the giants, because they are the tallest tribe in Africa. So this is one tribe they call Dinka tribe. And this is how tall they are. And they live with the cattle. And this is another tribe in Sudan, which also is the big tribe, is called Noir. As you see, the women and men always decorate themselves in their faces. And so mostly the South Sudan are younger people under 15, and many live in the rural areas. So this is South Sudan. So this is the River Nile, which comes from Lake Victoria in Tanzania and Uganda, and then to Juba in Sudan. They do fishing, And this is how the markets and business in South Sudan are conducted. The kids are also, they do fishing, and they go to the market to sell their fish, and that's how they can manage to buy their school books and pencils and pens. So these are the marketplace in Sudan. And so after the conflict of long time, the Sudanese people are now trying to bring back education, and these are the classrooms, and this is how kids sit in classes. And so this is the landscaping in Sudan, and these are how the village areas in Sudan look like. These are like women, like mostly big tribes, big three tribes of Sudan. And they grow maize, here you call corns, they ground nuts, and and millet. So if you go to the small street of Sudan, you will find women doing their artist works, and this is the small grocery store where people can go and buy like sugar, tea, and beans or eggs to be able to feed their families. So this is what I wanted to share about 6 countries in East African community, but I served Tanzania for my next session, which will be in April, because today I was only told to speak about other countries and not Tanzania. So what is my next journey? As I told you, I come from Tanzania. I'm here since 2008, and I'm now doing my doctoral education at Seton Hall University. My primary interest is to go back home and try to improve healthcare for people in the rural area. And my research area, I want to assess the readiness of villagers to adapt a new way of getting healthcare using their mobile phones. This is under telehealth technology, which are not connected to the internet. And the reason I'm doing that, if you go to Tanzania, especially in the villages, most people have phones, but they are very small phones, and the internet are not affordable, not reliable, and you cannot access, very difficult to access internet. However, the same basic phones, people use them to communicate with their family members, to also be able to access the money with the system called the M-Pesa system. And so I wanted to use this system as a model for people to obtain their basic health care. People can call the doctors, which now they don't do. They don't know how to do that. It's not in our culture. People can text and ask for questions. And hopefully this will help the people, especially those who live very far from the healthcare facilities, to be able to know what to do and reduce the delay and many deaths which are happening because of not going to the healthcare facilities in time. So I will go home to do my research, and then I will come back to finish my school hopefully next year. So as I said before, that I have organized a small organization to support kids go to school and small women businesses, elderly people. But for now, the school is not completed, and hopefully next year the kids will start going to school. But we are still, and I'm doing this with the partnership of my parish and the village communities. I show you the pictures. When we call for people to come and help, they all come, the whole village come. So we kind of like partnering with the village and also the different churches in my village. So these are my needs for now. which if everything will be as planning, then the school will be able to start next year. So I'm also looking for the pharmaceutical connections to help with the medication problem in our healthcare centers, and also looking for cheap or used but quality medical equipment to support our local hospitals and clinics. And so after saying that, I want to thank all of you, especially Jim Fagan, who is very interested in telehealth and suggested that I should speak in front of this group. Next, I want to thank Mike, whose interest in Africa and particularly its African community has led to my taking his October speaking spot. And also I want to thank Paul and those who work with technology, who manage the technical aspects of this program. And finally, I want to thank all of you for being such a wonderful audience and giving me the chance to talk about my African heritage and some of our most beautiful areas. So I welcome all of you to Tanzania, those who wish to volunteer or to do the safari or experience African village life. You can, volunteer in our orphanage centers. You can help, if you have hobby of building carpentry work, you can also come, you can do all that. If you want to help in the hospitals, we have clinics there, all over the country. My community, we have more than 46 convents in the country, and mostly we work in the rural areas, so you can have the opportunity to go and visit and help the sisters. Those who are expertise in telecommunication, power, we still need that. As you see here, these are our rural area where no power. The kids are looking like a TV in someone's house where they have been trying to use a solar power. So if you are expertise in this area, you are welcome. You can bring your ideas and, we can see together how to work. I can always connect you with my government people, my dioceses, and my community. And those who want to help students from kindergarten, primary school, high school kids, or those who want to go and volunteer there, help to teach English to the children, you are also welcome. And so those who just want to go and play with kids football in the village of Africa. So I invite all of you in our convents. We do all kinds of activities where I hope you will be able to enjoy. Or you can only go to Africa if you choose to go to do prayer or reflections. I can arrange that for you. We'll have a place for you to do that. So, and thank you, and thank you, and thank you again. And now I'm, welcoming if anybody have any question.
Okay, anyone who has questions, raise your hands. I see one's up already. Bill Tittle, unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, Sister Magdalena, I'm so impressed with you. So thank you very much for very educational, for me anyway. Never knew how beautiful East Africa is. It's incredible. The people, the colors. Now, despite the terrible genocide, so I guess their social, tribal problems, all that kind of stuff. But my question is about the role of women. The impression I get is that it's not anything like Afghanistan where girls can't get educated. the impression is women, well, are treated fairly well. Would you agree with that?
Yes. Well, it used to be like men, like boys will have like a special attention than girls those years, but not now anymore. Now, most family value education and they want both their girls and boys to go to school. They are all very smart. They all want to learn, girls and boys, but sometimes some families are very poor that they cannot afford to maybe buy their kids like a school uniform. That's a big challenge. But now every family, all parents want their kids to go to school regardless of gender.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Just a quick follow-up, and that is, it's such a beautiful country. I think the potential for tourism, especially as so much of the world is getting polluted, but I'm worried about Western money coming in there and being a negative factor. But I mean, you need economic development. How do you see that pathway forward for East Africa?
So we have always have like that challenge of corruption, especially with our government people. I can only say a lot of money, and we know that have been taken with the big people in our government, and they will hide those money, the places which they know themselves, the money which was supposed to go to people. But also our countries are very rich, as you said. We have a lot of natural resources, tourist destinations. All that money, if were collected well and were used in a good way, our countries wouldn't be poor this much. But we also have good government leaders we have had, and some people decide to work with the private sectors, some people decide to work with churches, where they know that their funds can be well utilized. So it's a very potential, very good places, and we have lots of tourist areas. You can do the safari almost in any countries of East Africa, and people are very welcoming and generous, and they are trying to improve, because with education, even people are working more, they raise their voice, they condemn the government official, and that helps to control the government people who are very corrupt.
Thank you very much.
John Tomaszewski?
Yeah, hi. Excellent talk. I didn't even know very little about that area except for the civil wars. But my question is, again, on bills, kind of off of bills, are they set up to like handle tourists in all of the countries? Do they have the infrastructure, like can you rent cars, and are there hotel rooms and things like that there? And which is probably a funny question for you, but and number two, what about the coronavirus? How's that affecting it there?
So with number one, yes, if you go to the big cities like Kigali, Nairobi, Dar es Salaam, you will find the modern hotels. But as soon as you go to the villages, no more of that. So infrastructure is very bad, especially in the rural areas. However, if you go to safari tour, and usually they try to do as much as they can to see how they can accommodate well the visitors. Even in the village, they will have at least, as I said, our culture, the guests or the visitors will be given a special consideration. So they will always have something beautiful for someone from abroad, where he can feel comfortable. If you come with someone who is from Africa, you decide to go with someone who is Africa, is even better because they can arrange for you, they can plan for you. For example, if you go with a sister, then you can always stay in our churches, in our convents, somewhere where we know like you are safe. But infrastructures is only good in the cities, not in the as you go to the villages. The roads are very bad, as I showed you, and people don't have cars. Few people in the cities, we consider them rich people, they own cars. But as if you go to my village, no one has cars. So we normally walk or use the bicycles. If you have a bicycle or a motorcycle, you are very rich in our areas. So that's number one. Number two is about the coronavirus. The corona, when it started in China and then in Europe, we were scared to death. We knew that was the end of Africa. But thank God, the corona is there, and I can say the bad impact was in the big cities. If you go to Dar es Salaam, to Nairobi, to Kigali, those places where there is large movement of people, yes, the corona affected very bad. But as you go to the rural, people are scattered, they don't move from one place to another. It wasn't as bad as we thought. So, and people are trying to get the education and they take precautions. And so it's not as bad as we expected actually, and we thank God for that. It's just like a miracle. Everybody thinks it's a miracle. The way our healthcare system is very poor and we think it's just a miracle actually.
Thank you, sister.
Yeah, thank you.
Tony Vizzochi?
Sister, asante sana. Mchana mwema. Thank you very much for your talk. It made me homesick again for Uganda, where I spent a number of years. But there's one thing that worries me about the East African Federation, and that is the dominance of Kenya. That's just as Germany sort of dominates the European Union, I get the impression that most of the direct financial investment, much of it goes to Kenya rather than the other countries. What do you think?
And that's a good question. And actually, that was the reason for the East African community to dissolve in 1977, because Kenya was trying to be very dominant, and they wanted more seats in the corporation. They refused to contribute, and yet all the industry and everything were located in Kenya. And then the two leaders of Tanzania and especially in Tanzania that time, Mwalimu Nyerere, he said, no, we cannot no longer, agree with Kenya. And then the conflict started, and later on it collapsed. But also you remember that time we had the Idi Amin, the war in Uganda, and that also created the problem and was one of the reasons for East African to collapse. But yes, Kenya seems to, I don't know how to put it, but we all know Kenya, they always try to be to overpower other countries, to oversmart other countries. And so we have always been worried about whether this will work or will not work. But I think other countries like Uganda and Tanzania, we have learned very well from before it collapsed. We had our lessons, and I don't think they will let Kenya control as they want to control. So we hope they have their agreement, and we hope each country will respect each other and will be able to move together.
Asante sana.
Ed Atkin? Ed?
Okay, I'll mute. Okay, you hear me now?
We got you.
Yes.
Yeah. What percentage of the people are vaccinated in Uganda in the areas which you spoke?
I know Kenya and Uganda, they started getting their vaccination very early, but people have been very hesitative to do vaccination. There are all these theories about vaccinations is bad. So only educated people and people from the big cities who have big challenges with corona, then they go for vaccination. If corona didn't hit badly, they are still want to do vaccinated. I only know the statistics of Tanzania, which was, we only got the vaccines maybe 3 months ago. And by now it's about only 1 million people who have been vaccinated. But the first dose we got in our country was also 1 million doses. So the government was still trying to see how they can get more doses for the people to get vaccinated. So I would say most people are very ignorant. I was home. I will visit people. I will visit my friends, and the first thing they will ask me, are you vaccinated? I will say yes, and they will ask me a lot of questions. So my job was to educate people. There is no any problem with vaccines. You're gonna be more safe if you get vaccinated. And so I feel like we still need a lot of education to convince people to get vaccinated.
Griff Smith? Griff?
Hi, I'm here. I was impressed by the quality of your presentation. You had it richly filled with photographs of the area, and many of them showed quite an artistic eye. It was a very nicely organized presentation, and it certainly gave us a very good impression of what it looks like in Africa and what the culture looks like.
Thank you.
Waddell?
Yes, I want to second Griff's compliment to you for a fantastic presentation. And it made me think all the way through, boy, I'd like to see a little promotional book covering what you covered, because it was fascinating. Now, amongst the things I noticed was that the culture in these countries you discussed is very happy and joyful. The singing, the dancing, the family relationships. And as with other African nations that I get a little bit of flavor from, the textiles are joyful too. Where do these fantastic fabrics come from? Wasn't mentioned in any of your exports, so it must be an import.
Yes, most come from India, Asian countries, India, and China.
Ah,
Yes.
because it looked like an ideal export or local industry if you were producing them in any of these countries. They're distinctive and very delightful to the eye.
Thank you very much. And that's what we want to, as East African community, they are thinking about. Like we have cotton, we grow cotton, sisal and everything. We can have our own industry and make all this in our own home countries rather than importing from Asia or the Middle East.
Yeah, well, I hope you do it, because the fabrics I see in Africa are just fantastic. I have some friends from Ghana, and they have a language and symbols which they use to decorate. And I thought maybe there are other similar traditions throughout Africa. Well, thank you very much for a great talk.
Thank you very much.
Jim Fagan?
Yes.
Oh,
With regard to what Sister is doing and her work with healthcare in the remote areas, the United States in 2018 set up the International Development Finance Corporation, and it is largely designed as a counter to China. China has invested extensively throughout Africa, ports, airports, railroads, highways, industrial parks. The United States government has funded the Economic Development Corporation, Finance Corporation, with $60 billion. That's not million, $1 billion. It seems to me that what Sister's doing, providing healthcare to the remote areas, is something that might fit in with what the Economic Finance Corporation, DFC, is seeking to do. Among other things, in Kenya, Google is setting up internet connections with light beams. They are moving away from laying cable. For instance, laying cable in Kenya or Tanzania or places like that, it would be prohibitively expensive. The areas are simply vast. But this light beam design of Google in Kenya is something that very well could be adapted to provide telemedicine to remote areas of Tanzania and other countries. Also, you have the satellites. I mentioned this, we were talking about this on Friday with Paul, and I put together a little email that I can send to anybody that's interested to kind of lay out some of these possibilities. But it seems to me that what Sister is doing might very well lend itself to exactly the kind of a project that the United States Development Finance Corporation is looking to fund. Again, they've got $60 billion. The design is to counter the presence of China with like soft diplomacy throughout Africa. So if anybody wants this email where I've laid out these issues, my idea was we've got people here with a strong background in internet connectivity and satellites and healthcare. And the idea would be to maybe discuss ideas with the possibility of assisting Sister to make an application to this Development Finance Corporation, not for the whole $60 billion, but if you could get a little bit of it, the possibilities are enormous, and the implications, if you did this as an example, this could open up the internet. Right now, I think about 3.5 billion are on the internet.
Jim, well, it's very interesting. We're starting to run a little short on.
Okay, I'll stop now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Paul, did you have a question? Okay.
Yes, I just unmuted. Well, first of all, Sister, I totally agree with everybody else. Such a wonderful talk, such rich pictures, rich culture, and you do a fabulous job of presentation. And I'm really looking forward to your next visit with us in a few more weeks. So everybody else, I hope you got that. She's going to focus on Tanzania, and there'll be fabulous photographs. I've seen some of those. There'll be more wildlife and things like that. But so do come back. I just have one quick question about the genocide in Rwanda. It was, such a terrible thing. And I know there's been an effort to have a reconciliation. A lot of work has gone into that, but I'm wondering, is there still residual hostility between the Hutus and the Tutsis, or have they managed to resolve that and defuse that situation?
I think they are managing the situation, and the reconciliation process is working very well. And if you go to Rwanda, even though the majority are Tutsi, but they live well with the Hutus, who are a minority. And if you go to Burundi as well, majorities are Hutus, but we still have Tutsi, and they live together very well. So the reconciliation process is working very, very well. Rwanda and Burundi, they are now enjoying, you know, a peace. You know, for a long time, we have never seen this. And some of the refugees from Rwanda and Burundi are now deciding to go back home willingly. And especially in Rwanda, they are really growing very fast now. And if you go to their countries, and people are working very hard, they are trying to forget what happened, and they are focusing forward.
Thank you. That's good to hear.
Okay, if there are no further questions, Mike, it's up to you now.
Well, thank you, Sister, for a great presentation. I join with everybody else who has complimented you on a great job. So thank you very much. And we will certainly be looking forward to your coming back and telling us more about Tanzania. We have two ways of recognizing and thanking you for your participation. The first of which is a certificate of appreciation, which is now up on the screen. And we're presenting that to you. We're happy to take this way of expressing our gratitude for the contribution you have made to our organization, made today, October 26th. And also, we will ask all the members that are listening or watching this presentation to express their appreciation by Old Guard salute.
Unmute yourself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mike, and thank you, Sister. I just want to mention on your certificate, you'll notice a picture of an orchid. Mike didn't tell you, but back when we were founded in 1930, Summit was the capital, the orchid capital of at least the United States for people who grew orchids and kept them at home. And so you could buy any exotic orchids right here in Summit. They grew them, and it was a big deal. So that's why we celebrate the orchid. And we celebrate you for a great presentation.